What a joy to be shrieked at by monsters in Trigger Happy Entertainment's Total Chaos, a classically formatted first-person survival horror game with minimal downtime. First introduced back in 2018 as an impressive total conversion mod for Doom 2, this soup-to-nuts rebuild published by Apogee for modern consoles and PC delivers a delectable post-Halloween treat, especially for genre fans. When I first got my hands on Total Chaos, I was slightly nervous about his former life as a mod, worried that my attention would constantly pierce the veil of its retro pedigree. This is thankfully not the case, even if its scrappy combat and bouncy movement are evidence of its classic boomer shooter origins. I even expect to run a survivalist replay at some point in the future. This version of Total Chaos adds a few lengthy bonus chapters and took me approximately 20 hours to credits, though that's possibly reflective of my first-time player's stumbles in the dark. Overall, I found the game length more substantial than expected, and the puzzle-based structure of certain chapters led to extended bouts of careful exploration and combat.
The ironically horrible Fort Oasis. You start off on a small boat tossed around by a torrential storm at sea. An apparent member of the Coast Guard, you're off responding to a distress call originating at Fort Oasis, a chilly island and former coal mining colony beset by some uncleared danger. You arrive and repair your vessel before entering an unassuming steel door, eventually leading into apartment blocks, factories, sewers, and even forests. Don't let the early, walking sim-like prologue section mislead you, as Total Chaos is an action-heavy horror game through and through. Gangs of twisted creatures wait to leap from behind corners or menace you from afar, usually screeching bloody murder, and there are a slew of weapons to leverage against them, both findable and craftable. Before long, your precious inventory weight limit strains under the precious loot scattered around each chapter. Axes, guns, makeshift spears, throwables, healing items, and gobs of other gear and knickknacks abound, all of which plays into a snappy crafting mechanic and some hunger/bleed status bars to keep track of. I spent much of my time in Total Chaos grossly overburdened, negatively affecting my stamina regeneration and dash speed. What can I say? Surely I'll need all those meat cans and medkits, and how could I possibly continue onward without my 2 heavy axe heads? I might find handles for them one of these days.
Nightmares always nipping at your heels. Most creatures in Total Chaos make grand entrances and demand unique approaches. Beefy, lumbering splitters spread a massive spiky mouth over half their body, but can temporarily be stunned by tossing a hammer or brick into that maw. Brutes are more straightforward grunts, but they're quieter when they sneak up on you, swinging wildly and throwing chunks of trash. Some enemies are essentially unkillable, but even the most intimidating can be bested with time, practice, and tips, which occasionally pop up in the UI when they're not just spray-painted menacingly on brick walls. Glares and widows require specialized approaches based on sight, and run-ins with the latter are distressing set pieces in their own right. Monster design in Total Chaos is mostly excellent, with the game using every member of its roster to keep you wary and on the back foot. Revealing a few of the most inspired designs would be unfair to any other noobs exploring Fort Oasis, as the game is particularly inventive in how it introduces and frames new threats.
One of the best-sounding horror games in years.
Total Chaos's audio is the undisputed star of the show. I can't remember the last horror game I played with such exquisite sound design, from the trickling ambiance of a sewer corridor to the stomping of a massive beast behind its walls, and the screams of enemies seen and unseen are something you never fully get accustomed to. Even the tinny record player, which serves as your save station, plays a disturbing motif intended to be soothing. But is that record warping and bending over time the farther you get? The few voice performances in the game are also well done, including your mysterious lifeline assisting over comms, who guides your path for better or worse.
The protagonist never speaks outright, but there's plenty of heavy breathing, reactive grunts, and the like, along with some unnerving tape recordings to collect. Beyond the audio, Total Chaos looks far better than I expected for a former Doom 2 mod. Predictably, that also means no jumping or even ladder climbing, which lends the game a kind of old-school dungeon crawler feel at times, but the environments are nicely detailed and usually heightened with hazy mist and other primo lighting effects, or in other words, nothing here feels like a simple skin on a 30-year-old FPS. Fittingly, the themes of madness ramp up steadily, soon mixing body horror and pulsing gore into the industrialized settings. Sure, these effects are familiar territory in survival horror, but they're exceptionally well done here and maintain the game's oppressive atmosphere.
Superb atmosphere and perilous exploration.
Total Chaos's chapters also showcase some fun mechanical variety. Early escape scenes quickly transition to more confident combat scenarios, only to be subverted by invulnerable enemies later on, who need to be avoided or outsmarted. While certain areas can feel somewhat on the rails, most utilize open map designs that require attention and patient backtracking to solve. The middle game fires on all cylinders, with crafty enemy placement and slick environmental tricks and twists. Its energy does cool slightly over the final 2 chapters, with the game mostly rolling out more of what you're now used to, even while maintaining its consistent quality level. Of course, I'm holding back on some of the best encounters. I fully appreciate how Total Chaos doesn't rely on constant jump scares. Still, there are notable examples, including a particular threat known as a slammer that I grew to love for its simplicity yet effectiveness.
Total Chaos is the total package.
A killer Akira Yamaoka's theme was the perfect send-off for this sizable horror adventure. Remake or no, Total Chaos is packed with unexpected beauty, where even a simple tunnel or hallway can be crested with busy overgrowth, its terminus spilling gray lamplight around the silhouette of a horrible creature. The narrative's decent to boot, even if it digs into some video game horror cliches that might seem weary in 2025. A man haunted by his past, but are his hallucinations real or just his guilty mind playing metaphorical tricks on him? Or was he, gasp, actually dead all along? I ultimately saw past this stuff, but anyone tired of the shtick may roll their eyes more than once. More than anything, I vibed with Total Chaos's creative dungeon crawling routine, its secrets and scares, its weird developments and frantic encounters, and I even enjoyed tangling with my overweight inventory. There are settings to untick everything from hunger to weapon durability, but I played through the game on standard and found its systems generous and satisfyingly manageable. In the end, Total Chaos purely nails the sad survival horror sweet spot that I didn't even realize I was jonesing for.